made in baseball in the last 24 hours that really is it's a very interesting move because you could go either way with the discussion on it. The Orioles signed Alex Cobb, and he has passed his physical. Remember, 2 years ago he had Tommy John. The Orioles signed Alex Cobb. They gave him a 4-year, $60 million contract. Cobb, a right-hander. He won 12 games last year with a good ERA. He's been a pretty good pitcher for Tampa when healthy. He's been pretty good. He's good in the American League East. So, I mean, he's been he's a good number 3 starter on a pretty good team. He's not a 2 on a good team. He's far from an ace, but on a good team, not a great team, on a good team, you would not worry about giving him the ball in a game 3. You'd say, you know what, we got a chance. It's not. Now, listen, I don't know if he'd get the ball on the Yankees in a game 3. I don't know if he'd get the ball on Houston in a game 3. It might be Garrett Cole. I don't know about that, but the Dodgers he could. It's possible, but he could. You could give him the ball in that third game of a championship or a divisional series and give yourself a chance to win the game. So let's say that. That's important. Now, if you're giving the ball in game 2, you're not going to win. You're not going to win it. If he's your second best pitcher, you're not winning a World Series. I'll throw that in too. But it's not the worst thing in game 3. Anyway, the Orioles gave him a 4-year, $60 million contract. Now, you can go a couple of different ways with this. I'm going to give you both scenarios, and then I'll tell you where I would go with it. All right, now, the positive scenario is that the Orioles, unlike a lot of teams, Atlanta, who sent the kid down Acuna because of service time, the Orioles are trying to be competitive. The owner doesn't want to wave up the white flag. It's a very good baseball market. They are they have a good manager in Showalter. They obviously have a good GM in Duquette. They got a good offense. A couple of years ago, they made the playoffs, lost that game to Toronto with Zach Britton not pitching. You remember that whole story. This is a team that with Adam Jones and Machado and Chris Davis and the second baseman Scope can hit, and they got a good Mancini had a good year last year behind the plate. I mean, they have a couple of pitchers that are okay. They got decent bullpen. I mean, this is a team that under the right scenario could win themselves 85 games. And, it also shows your fan base, the dwindling fan base that it might be. It shows your fan base that you're not waving out the white flag and you're trying to be competitive, and you also have to be somewhat concerned because you share that network Masson with the Nationals, and you don't want to give up too much real estate to Washington, same market, 40 miles apart, the two ballparks, and so you want to try to be try to be relevant in that town. This is not the movie. Relevant in that town. Crappy one at that. DiCaprio, how did that win? Anyway, so as a result, you bring Cobb in. That's the positive. The negative is, hold on now. Let me get this straight. You spent $60 million on who? What? You spent $60 million on Cobb. You have Machado, who is not going to be signed, it looked at offers in the offseason, who you very well could trade in July before he hits the open market in October if you are out of it. You are not going to sit there, and he's not going to remain with the Orioles, it doesn't appear. And even if you thought you had a chance, you spent $60 million on this guy, and maybe instead of putting the $60 million in the safe and making sure you have an offer for Machado down the road. You are in a division with the Yankees and the Red Sox, so you can't expect to win the division. And in fact, the best you can expect yourself to be in is in third place. And the best you can expect being in third place is to be on the road in a one-game playoff against the Yankees or the Red Sox to get your head blown off. I mean, that is essentially get your doors blown out. I mean, that's what you're doing. I mean, at the best, the best case scenario for the Orioles would be this: competitive, right in the mix with the Angels, the Twins, teams like that, right in the hunt for the second wild card spot, barring injury and something crazy happening with New York and Boston, putting yourself in a scenario where you're in third, win your 88, 89 games, and somehow squeak into the playoffs, able to keep Machado, and then all of a sudden you're on the road with Dylan Bundy in the first game of a postseason series, or really a game. That's the best case. That's the best case. The worst case is your team stinks. Your pitching doesn't respond. Cobb is so-so. And by May 30th, you're taking offers from Machado. you know what? With the end result being only the best you can hope for is one game and third place, I think in that situation, you can't make this signature signing here with Cobb. That's the way I would handle it. It's a puzzling move only because of where the Orioles are. If the Orioles were in another division where there weren't two big-time teams and only one, even in the NL East, if the Orioles were in a situation where they had Machado for another year and he didn't have to get traded after this year, you had him 2 more years of control. If you're in that scenario, I can understand Cobb, but in that and it doesn't work here. They are in a division where the best they can hope for is 85 to 88 wins, and that's on the high end because Toronto's not terrible. The best they can hope for is 85 to 88 in third place. That's the best they can hope for. So you spent $60 million on a pitcher, which you did need. But you spent $60 million on a pitcher, and again, what are you getting out of it? So it's a very, very strange move by the Orioles. Plus, they gave him $60 million, 4 years. $20 million of it is deferred, but they gave him $60 million. Lance Lynn only got 1 year, $12 million. I mean, geez. Arrieta only got 2 years, $50 million before he could opt out guaranteed. You gave him basically $40 million. 20 of it, of course, is deferred. So it was a strange move by the Orioles. Plus the fact you're not going to have him early in the year because obviously the season, snow or no snow, begins for them next Thursday against Minnesota, and you're not going to probably see him until the middle of the month. So there you have it. That was the one move that has been made here in the last 24 hours was the signing of Cobb. He's the last big free. He's still got Greg Holland out there. He's a Boris client. Cobb is not. You still got Greg Holland out there, so maybe down the road they'll do something with him. Who knows? With Holland, maybe he gets signed by a team that needs themselves a closer. We'll have to wait and see. But the bottom line is we are sitting with Cobb now in Baltimore with the Birds. Okay. That's what we have as far as the baseball is concerned. We'll get your phone calls in here momentarily. Busy day. It's 3:30. It's good to have you aboard. Colin Schmeling, Eddie Erickson, Justin Shackle. The kid does a great job. He's a conscientious host. He's got a sports star. He's got a sports bite here on Mad Dog.